Hey friends, I'm Nova, a traveler always chasing strange and shocking discoveries around the world. Today, I'm taking you to one of the largest and most mysterious countries on Earth, Russia. When people think of Russia, they usually imagine the freezing cold of Siberia, Moscow's grand metro stations, or endless vodka shots. But behind that familiar image, there's a whole world of bizarre traditions, unusual habits, and jaw-dropping realities you've probably never heard of. So pack your backpack and come along with me, because we're about to uncover 15 weird and shocking facts about Russia. And trust me, some of them sound so unbelievable, they feel like something straight out of a movie. 1. Russian bears get addicted to jet fuel. In Russia's Kranatsky Nature Reserve in Kamchatka, over 700 brown bears have developed an addiction to sniffing aviation fuel from discarded barrels left by helicopters and airplanes. The bears inhale kerosene and gasoline fumes through cracks in the containers, leading to a state of intoxication where they become dizzy, pass out, and lie in a nirvana position after digging shallow holes. This behavior started due to leftover fuel in the UNESCO protected reserve, and it's been observed since at least 2013, raising concerns about human impact on wildlife. Photographers have captured these scenes, showing bears obsessively seeking out the barrels, highlighting how pollution affects animal habits in remote areas. 2. Stray dogs in Moscow. Ride the metro and know the stations. Moscow is home to around 35,000 stray dogs, with a clever subset of about 500 that have adapted to using the city's metro system as a means of transportation. These dogs navigate by recognizing station smells, announcer voices, passenger crowds, and even the best cars to board for warmth or food, often traveling to busier areas for scraps. They ride escalators, wait in line politely, and avoid hogging seats, demonstrating remarkable urban adaptation honed over years in the harsh Russian winters. This phenomenon has been documented since the 1990s, with dogs keeping the city cleaner by eating leftovers and controlling rats, though their numbers have decreased due to spaying programs. 3. Beer wasn't considered alcoholic in Russia until 2011. Prior to 2011, Russian law classified beer and any beverage under 10% alcohol as a non-alcoholic food product, allowing unrestricted sales even to minors. This loophole contributed to high alcohol consumption rates, as beer was sold freely in kiosks, parks, and vending machines without age checks or time limits. President Dmitry Medvedev signed a bill in July 2011 reclassifying beer as alcoholic to combat rising alcoholism, imposing sales restrictions and higher taxes. The change aimed to reduce public drinking, but beer still remains popular, with Russia historically viewing it as a softer alternative to spirits like vodka. 4. 1/4 of Russian men die before age 55. Statistics show that about 25% of Russian men die before reaching 55, compared to just 7% in the UK and 10% in the US, largely due to excessive alcohol use. Heavy vodka consumption, smoking, and related heart diseases contribute to a male life expectancy of around 64 years, with 35% of under 55 deaths linked to alcohol. This trend worsened after the Soviet collapse in the 1990s, with fluctuations tied to anti-alcohol policies, but recent improvements have slightly raised averages. Factors like economic stress, poor healthcare, and cultural drinking norms make Russia one of the lowest in global male longevity rankings. Number 5. There are way more women than men in Russia, 11 million more. Russia's population has a striking gender imbalance, with about 78.8 million women and 68.4 million men as of 2024, a gap of more than 10 million. The shortage of men started with World War II's devastating losses and continues due to lower male life expectancy caused by alcoholism, accidents, and now the Ukraine war. In some regions, the ratio is nearly equal, but overall there are 15% more women, which affects marriage rates and has fueled international dating trends. The gap widens in older generations, where women outnumber men dramatically, making Russia one of the most female-dominated populations on Earth. 6. 60 secret cities in Russia that foreigners can't enter. Russia still has around 42 closed cities tied to nuclear, military, or space programs, where foreigners, and even most Russians, need special permits to enter. Examples include Sarov, the birthplace of Soviet nuclear weapons, and Zheleznogorsk, a hub for producing weapons-grade plutonium. These places were often left off maps during the Cold War, with residents living under strict secrecy and isolation. Today, some remain partially restricted, but they're still living reminders of Russia's shadowy Cold War legacy. 7. Cats are employed at the Hermitage Museum and have passports. At the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, about 70 cats are officially employed to protect priceless artworks from mice. The tradition began in 1745, when Empress Elizabeth ordered cats to live in the museum's basement. Today, the cats have their own infirmary, caretakers, and even passports with their photos, treated as real staff members of the museum. Visitors adore them, and the cats have become a quirky part of Russia's cultural heritage, even featured in books and documentaries. 8. The coldest inhabited place on Earth, Oymyakon, at 78 degrees. Oymyakon, a small Siberian village, holds the record as the coldest permanently inhabited place on Earth. Temperatures there have dropped to -71.2 degrees Celsius, 96 degrees Fahrenheit, and in winter the average is around 90-50 degrees Celsius. Schools only close if it's colder than 52 degrees Celsius. Cars are kept running all day, and many homes don't even have indoor plumbing. With about 500 residents, life revolves around reindeer herding, fishing through thick ice, and simply surviving the brutal cold. 9. Matryoshka dolls actually originate from Japan. Russia's famous nesting dolls, called matryoshka, weren't originally Russian. They were inspired by Japanese Daruma dolls. In the 1890s, artist Sergei Malyutin and woodworker Vasily Zvyozdashkin created the first set in Russia, modeling them after Japanese nesting figures. The dolls quickly became a symbol of Russian culture, often painted as peasant women with children to symbolize fertility and family. Despite their foreign roots, matryoshkas are now one of Russia's most iconic souvenirs, loved worldwide. Tetris was invented in Russia. In 1984, Soviet software engineer Alexei Pajitnov created Tetris at Moscow's Dorodnitsin Computing Center. He designed it to test a computer's power, drawing inspiration from pentomino puzzles and naming it after tetra, four, and tennis, his favorite sport. The game spread across the USSR on floppy disks before exploding worldwide in 1989, when Nintendo released it for the Game Boy. Tetris went on to sell over 500 million copies, becoming one of the most popular and addictive video games in history. 11. Russia has the highest vodka consumption in the world, 17 shots monthly per person. On average, Russians drink about 13.9 liters of pure alcohol per person each year, with vodka making up a huge chunk of it. Historically, vodka once accounted for 75% of all alcohol consumed in the country, fueling both traditions and serious health problems. Even though beer overtook vodka in popularity after 2010, the drink is still deeply tied to Russian identity and culture. Government campaigns since 2003 have cut alcohol consumption by about 43%, but vodka remains Russia's most famous and dangerous beverage. 12. Whistling indoors brings bad luck and is forbidden. In Russian superstition, whistling indoors is believed to invite evil spirits, financial loss, or even poverty into the household. Parents often scold kids who whistle at home, saying the sound makes money fly out the window. The belief goes back centuries, tied to the domovoi, a protective house spirit that could be offended by loud noises. While outsiders may see it as just a quirky rule of manners, for Russians, it's a serious cultural taboo. 13. Russians don't smile at strangers because it's a sign of weakness. Unlike in many Western countries, smiling at strangers in Russia can seem fake, suspicious, or even a sign of foolishness. This cultural habit comes from centuries of hardship, where people valued sincerity and authenticity over polite small talk. During international events like the 2018 World Cup, Service workers were literally trained to smile more for foreign visitors. Russians do smile warmly with friends and family, but in public, their straight faces reflect a deep cultural value on honesty. 14. Lake Karachay is one of the most radioactive places in the world. Lake Karachay, near the Mayak nuclear facility, was used as a dumping ground for radioactive waste starting in the 1950s. By the 1990s, standing near its shores for just 1 hour could deliver a lethal dose of radiation. In 1968, a drought exposed the lake bed, and winds carried radioactive dust across 41,000 square kilometers, affecting 500,000 people. Efforts to fill the lake with concrete reduced the danger, but it remains a chilling reminder of Soviet-era secrecy and environmental disasters. 15. Mafia graves in Yekaterinburg with hyper-realistic statues. In the 1990s, gang wars swept across Russia, and in Yekaterinburg's Shirokorochensko cemetery, mobsters got extravagant tombstones. These graves feature life-sized images of the deceased etched in stone, wearing leather jackets, gold chains, or even posing with luxury cars. They reflect the gangster lifestyle of the turbulent post-Soviet years, where criminal bosses were buried like rock stars. Today, these graves stand alongside those of war heroes and celebrities, preserving a bizarre chapter of Russia's violent past in stone. And there you have it, friends. 15 weird and shocking facts about Russia. From bears sniffing jet fuel to mafia tombstones, Russia is full of extremes that mix history, culture, and pure strangeness. So tell me, which fact surprised you the most? Would you dare to visit Oymyakon's frozen village? Or maybe take the metro with Moscow's clever dogs?